I think I'd be a good model.
I was just sitting there. I was like, what the? He's got to be seeing this. What is he doing? Is he just sitting there going,
I'm just looking at like, guess what? Fuck you today. Just today.
yeah, fuck
just
you.
Fuck off.
I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer your chat.
I'm singing Pearl Jam right now. Give me some time. Meeting flows. My flies arrive like butter.
Welcome to Uncle Weepy's Depression Dungeon, the least helpful self-help podcast. Here are your hosts, Paul Armstrong and Jeremy Fuchsen.
How was your week? I want to hear what's. We started last week with job search. Let's keep going with that.
Yeah, we can keep talking job search.
I just want to see if it's searching or you're negotiating at this point.
Well, so to catch everybody else up, at the last time we talked, I had an interview coming up. I had the interview with the design test. They said that, hey, thanks, it'll be at least 2 weeks before you hear anything back from us. That's just the way we roll. And I was like, cool. Didn't really expect anything. And then Monday, I had another interview. Was less excited about that interview. Went to it and I was like, yeah, this is, whatever. And then by the time I got home, I had a job offer from the Friday interview.
Wow.
So yeah, which
that's a good sign.
Really floored me because, they said 2 weeks and it took, basically half a business day. So, that was cool. I accepted the offer, but yet I haven't heard back as far as like when I'm going to start or any of that business.
Oh,
so,
no negotiating. You just went for it. You didn't try to push back a little bit.
Yeah, I just, the salary was a little bit lower than I wanted, but the benefits are phenomenal.
So it's a balance out kind of situation.
Yeah, it really does balance out. After because I was gonna go, hey, how about this? But then I really started looking in depth at the benefits, and I was like, oh gosh, there's quite a bit of value in this, and old men like their benefits, and so I decided that it was worth it, and so I accepted. But now the crazy thing is that I am getting all of these freelance jobs that I've also been kind of, had been throwing out there trying to get stuff and thought I would never hear back. Now all that stuff is coming back too. And I have no idea whether or not I can accept them because I don't know that I would have time to do them. Or maybe I would have ample time to do them. Who knows? And so I'm in a really, really weird place now because and so it's like I'm accepting these jobs, but I'm like going, am I going to have to just turn right back around and say, well, sorry.
And you don't know when your start date will be. You don't know your work hours.
Yeah, I have no clue. Yeah. No, I don't know anything.
My assumption would be that a company of that size is pretty 9 to 5. Like even our company, which is not, it's like pseudo startup, but not really. Almost everyone's out of there by 5. The office is empty. We're all like, hey, we don't have to beg for your time and hours. Just do your best and go home. So I would hope that they're the same way.
Well, I think that that's probably right. The one job that I really would like to take that I'm most nervous about is some UX, wireframing and interactive prototypes. But then part of the proposal was to actually do some testing and sit down with a focus group and go through and have them do some tasks in the interface and stuff like that. And so I'm not sure how I would be able to pull that off unless, like you said, if do it in the evening or something like that.
Weekend. Well,
Which,
it can't be weekend, but
well, actually, I mean, for the client and the people,
if you give them realistic timeline, they might be.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, it's a busy time for me right now. Not saying I have another job. You could say you have another. I'm assuming they took a while to get back to you.
Yeah.
Therefore, you probably would have scheduled everything out to have more work. You just say, hey, my load's a little heavy right now. Or
Yep.
You could even say your flow to see what to say. But my flow's a little heavy right now.
My flow's a little heavy.
And then kind of give them a realistic expectation.
Yeah.
I want to hear about the design test, what it was.
The design test, it was actually, it was pretty straightforward. So, healthcare software. And so the design test was to design an interface that a doctor could use to prescribe medications once they've made a diagnosis, and that they gave a little bit of user research. So they say, so in our findings, doctors like to have their medications grouped in these four major classes of drug. And so they gave the four major classes of drug. And they said, so we need to have a prescription interface to where it is put together with these four classes of drugs. They need to be able to search. They need to be able to favorite their own drugs. They need to be able to edit those favorites, need to be able to rename the drug if they wish, which I can't figure out what for the life of me why a doctor would ever want to rename a
unless
favorite.
They go by a shortened term to easily find it.
Yeah, I don't know, but I was because I'm always thinking, weird. Well, if I'm ever renaming a favorite, it's always something ridiculous. So why would you take Adderall and rename it to Poopy Times? Because that's what I was thinking. And then be able to review the prescription and add, change, delete before you finalize it and send it off to a pharmacy.
No style guidelines like
no style guidelines or anything like that. It was just just go wild.
Time?
You had an hour.
Shit.
Yeah,
that's not long.
No, it wasn't long at all.
Did they provide you a computer? Did you bring your laptop?
No, they gave me a whole bunch of pencils, papers, dry erase markers.
Oh, they want
notes.
you literal, wireframing.
Right. They wanted wireframes, and so okay. I mean, I started the whole thing out by kind of making a flow of all the bits and pieces that they wanted, plus what databases it was pulling from and pushing to, saying, okay, here's all their prescriptions, here's the favorites database, this data is going here, this data is going here. It's coming back and forth.
Little flow
just a nice little flow, little flow chart. And then I just started sketching all the different UI pieces.
Interesting. I wouldn't think they'd be reliant upon literal pen and paper, because some people just aren't great at that. That doesn't mean they can't design.
Exactly. Yeah. But so I worked on that for an hour, and then the three different people that I had spent the last hour and a half interviewing with all came back and said, "Okay, present it." And so I took them through my thinking and everything, and I made some assumptions that the system had some artificial intelligence that, based on whatever diagnosis code the doctor put in before they got to this page, would be able to filter out a whole bunch of drugs from different classes and stuff to make it easier. I said, for instance, I used hypertension, high blood pressure, for a diagnosis. So I said, so obviously if you put in hypertension as a diagnosis, you're not going to want to prescribe any sort of stimulant. So since that is one of the major classes of drug that you had,
you should definitely know based on symptoms.
Yeah, exactly.
Families with which it fits, whether that's AI or just that drugs are well attributed for.
Yeah. So I said, symptoms. As you see here, there is no stimulant class because you wouldn't do it. So it's not there, and and kind of went on with all that stuff, and then they just asked a bunch of questions about it, and things like, what do you like best about your design, what was most difficult about the test, what is something about your design that you don't like.
I like that question's good. Like, what do you like? What's the strength, weaknesses, all that stuff. Yeah. That's similar to the test that I made up, but it was virtual. It was not in person. I sent it as a doc that was like, here's the task, here's your library. Like, it was basically like, I provided the fonts, I provided a pattern library link to say, like, here's the color palette.
Yeah.
And it was like, it was.
So it was more of a visual design type of thing.
It was both. It was, so like, I gave them all these things, and the task was, here's the page. I want you to do an audit upon it. Like I said that. I didn't say that. I'm not from the 1600s. Thou shalt do a audit upon it. I had them to do an audit. Basically, they look through it, tell me the strengths and weaknesses of this page. It's a page that we know that needs help, that we don't love, that needs work. And then, so I like first was write down your analysis of the page, your recommendations, and then execute upon those recommendations. That was my test that I had. Well, because it was about what we would be doing at the company, working with company at, like, we have assets and we have kind of a style. But all I wanted to provide them was the loose style, not like it must be this and it must be that. Just like, here's some basics. Here's what a page looks like, but go crazy.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of the follow up with strengths, weaknesses, what you would do different, what you would prefer or not prefer. Like, what would you recommend in terms of the test or whatever? But an hour just feels. Oof.
Well, that's the funny thing, though, because as I started reading that, I was like, what am I going to do for that entire hour? Because at first I thought that it seemed really simple, but boy, I tell you what, I was writing the last little bit of, because I was annotating all the different things that I was sketching and all that, and I put the last little bit of information on a page as they were walking in the door. So
that's all I ever do nowadays is like start writing. Like, I start approaching everything now with the sort of the scientific method. Problem, analysis, hypothesis, solution kind of thing before I ever do any kind of wireframing. Because then after that, then it's all right. Let me start thinking about the flow. If I do this, what are all the different branches? If I'm a user and I'm coming at, like, my philosophy, so as it is I always think of your product is a city and your users are travelers. That's why they call it the information superhighway, because literally they are traveling somewhere to visit you. There's many ways they can get to the things within your city, and you're just going to try to guide them the best they can with information. Like, if you're into this, go here. If you go that, like, sort of, no different than any kind of road system. Yeah. But that's how your product is. Like, you're coming in, you don't want to distract them, otherwise they're going to miss their exit or where they want to go, or they're just maybe they're a Sunday driver. They don't even know. How are you going to present information to them in that regard? That's also the reason I use a highway is because you don't have any time. Like, road signs don't have long explanations about what's happening. Like, get off here if you'd like to explore our stadiums and our museums. You know what I mean? Like, they don't have time to wait. And that's the way human attention span honestly is. You got seconds. So that's why I always try to think of things in like a highway. Like, if I am trying to get someone to do something on a highway, I got to do it fast and I got to do it clear. And then I keep providing more guidance as they go along, right?
Yep.
So that's how I kind of approach everything I do. It's like, what can I do? How do I group things? Where are they going? What are the different decisions they can make? And then I might get into wireframing. But nowadays, I don't really do. Design is far less more than writing, thinking, looking what other people doing, asking them questions, helping them thought process, providing any data they might need.
Yeah.
It's fun.
It is fun. It is fun. I was reading a lot of articles today about UX writing, which is a pretty, most of it came down to like micro copy and different things like that. And it's but it's true. It's more than just the way things look and even the way things work. It's it's the tone of everything and so many things that people just don't even really take into consideration.
Take it for granted.
Oh yeah.
Like I just watched, interesting enough, InVision did a free webinar last week or a couple weeks ago. One was on the UX of copy for forms. And their rule was pretty cool. It's like, treat a form as if you were interacting with a customer. How would you ask them for their name? How would you ask them for their phone number? How would you provide clarification about why you're asking for their phone number, things like that. Like, don't sound like a robot, because is that how you would talk? Like, please validate email. Like, you wouldn't say that to their face, right?
Right.
How would you talk to this? So, like, they gave this really great side-by-side comparison of this really awesomely, beautifully well-designed form that was, like, simple and looked clear, and then another form that was pretty long-winded and took up a lot of space that, there's like descriptor text, and the forms weren't all like 3-column and 2-column, and like it was like pretty, like if it's name, it's first name, last name, and then fields took up enough room.
Yeah.
The first form was like a 22% conversion rate. So like, which is pretty good. The one on the other side was like a 94. It is unintuitive to designers to think that talking a lot leads to interaction.
Yeah.
It's like, but when a form, you're asking people for information, and you better tell them why, and you better speak to them in a way that they feel welcome.
Mm-hmm. Welcome,
so
and that they trust you with what they're giving you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like the hiding the information in error messages about why they need to put it in isn't helpful. They're not going to do it from the offset. They're just going to leave.
Yeah.
Rather than saying, I didn't put in my email, error message, please put in your email so that we can do this. Just do that up front and they'll do it. It was interesting. Yeah, there's so much more to design than just prettiness.
Yes.
So much more. Yeah, you're probably going to dive deep into minutia. I mean, working with medical software.
Oh, yeah. Wait, it's really I'm super excited about it. I am also super nervous about it because, and I mean, but I don't feel like I'm at any advantage or disadvantage in this case, because I feel that most UX professionals, all of their deliverables and their methods and the things that they do, everybody has their own secret sauce. There's no standardized way of doing it. No. There's really no general best practice or anything like that, and I know that it was something that I kind of stressed out a little bit 3 years ago when I was doing this on my own. I was like, well, I probably ought to figure out if I'm doing all of this right. And I researched enough to know that really whatever you do is the right way to do it, as long as it, gets across what it needs to get and it's solving the problems that you need to solve.
And you're moderating that, like, I deploy a solution, how is it being received, what can I tweak and iterate on, all that stuff.
Yeah. So it doesn't matter what deliverables you give or what they look like or how they work, as long as it's solving the right problem, that's all that matters. Yep. So
yeah, absolutely. And if you're working with a team worth anything, they're always going to be super flexible and work the way you work, solve the way you solve. We collaborate, we push each other, that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And you've been doing this long enough. You don't have anything to worry about.
Yeah.
I mean, there's going to obviously, if you're like me, you're just going to freak out about the day-to-day stuff, not the work itself, the people, where you sit, what are the smells, where do I eat? Am I going to be alone? Is there a kitchen? Like all sorts of the...
Oh, boy. Let me tell you about that part. Oh, yeah. No,
I'm sure they have a cafeteria. Is it free food?
God. I don't know about free food, but
okay,
dude,
Yeah.
I mean, it is like the nicest mall food court that I have ever seen.
How many people work in the office you'll be in?
I would say that there's probably a couple thousand people in the building that I would be in. It's a gigantic building.
Yeah, I bet.
And it's their newest building, and they're building one right next to it. The guy that gave me the tour of the cool parts of the building that I was in, he said that they are planning to have 10 buildings on the land that this one currently sits on. And I mean, because like I said, it was Bannister Mall.
Yep.
That had they tore that whole thing down, and so there's a lot of land there. And yes, they are going to put some gigantic buildings all over it.
Is there like a open tub full of expired drugs that you guys can just take whenever?
Probably somewhere. Every one of their buildings has a full service clinic with doctors and nurses.
Damn. Nice.
Yeah, they all have their own full service clinic. They all have their own pharmacy.
Nice.
There's a gym. I mean, it's just kind of stupid how nice the place is.
There's a lot of people named Jim. I mean, they're
sure.
I mean, come on.
Maybe do this.
Do you guys have an anger room?
Very, very important. This is an important question.
I think it is it is the feature of the office of the future. I'm not kidding. I am kidding, but I'm not kidding. You know what the anger rooms are, or the
basically where you go break stuff and
yeah. I would love to have that room somewhere where it's just like go in there. It's soundproof. We have a bunch of dishes and plates, and just we have a car. And a sledgehammer.
Yeah.
Just like get frustrated, you can't think.
Yeah, man. We have one. We in town.
No, it's not in an office, but I don't think we have one yet. You have one in KC?
Yeah, Smashbox,
nice.
the anger management warehouse.
Here's my challenge to you. Go do that. I want you to tell me how that feels doing that. We don't have one here, and I would love to do one.
Yeah.
Just to go freaking ape shit on something.
Smashbox.
That's a pretty funny name.
That is.
And then you can get pretty punny with it as well. But,
yeah.
Nothing comes to mind offhand, but I would love to have an anger room or whatever you want to call it, or just go to Goodwill, get a bunch of stacks of dishes for $1, just throw them and yell at people's names who I'd like to die. It's got to be super therapeutic.
Oh, yeah. Oh, man.
Did you ever do, when you were a teen, the car smash stuff?
Yes. Yes, and I loved it.
Oh, it's the best.
Always the best.
It was always our youth group that did it. It was like to raise money, but
yeah,
they must have done it for other stuff.
Oh, yeah. The high school student council for the school that, they at a football game that we took the kids to last year had one, and I didn't do it, but boy, did I want to. Oh, boy, did I want to.
Just wail on it. They always spray paint it. Like, I don't care about your dumb spray paint.
Yeah, don't spray paint it. Just leave it. Just leave it
as hard as I can.
Mm-hmm. I think the favorite one of those is somebody had one of those at like a scout thing that I did back as a kid, and we spent all of our time and all of our money over at that thing. Like, we would go work our little booth, and then when we would get a break, we would just automatically go over and just start banging on the car.
I mean, it's got to be an easy way to make money. I'm like, it's $1 a swing.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, and they're gonna be like, that's your swing. So you want one more? Yeah, one more. Okay, we'll do one more.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm sure that's what that Smashbox or
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did not. I'm pretty sure I didn't.
Baby hit me one more time or whatever the story is called.
Man, I'm hating that I don't see anything about this place though, other than just the.
Is it not open yet? Is it coming soon?
I don't know. I mean, it's on Yelp, but it doesn't have any. I mean, there are no
Rage
there are
rooms,
no
that's what they call them.
things like no reviews, no nothing. So I don't know.
It's got to be pretty new. It's a pretty new phenomenon.
This guy's smashing a TV. How many TVs do you have in there? Do you replenish your TVs?
Yeah, you smash
Can I get
one and
an
you're done.
Can I get
That's
an
not
extra
sense.
TV?
Yeah.
What
I feel like
yeah.
tossing a dish would feel real good. Like just winging it, smashing it down.
Yep.
A vase, whatever you want to call.
Yep. Well, I mean, we get a little bit of that here because we don't have glass recycling at the curbside, and so it's actually Owens Corning. They did a deal here in town where at a bunch of different grocery stores and different things like that, they have glass recycling big dumpsters. And so you get a little bit of that. You go, winging a Jack Daniels bottle in there, that feels pretty good, but
Yeah, it does.
need some scale to it.
I mean, basically, it's everyone's office space to the printer happening.
Yeah, it is.
Do they provide implement objects with which to hit?
It looks like
bats,
you got
sledgehammers?
bats and sledgehammers and yeah.
See, now what I think the next step will be is that it's going to be a room full of dummies with knives and guns and gasoline cans and matches, and you're just going to go.
Jeez. Yeah.
You're going to go and stab someone 83 times, punch them a few times, shoot them in the head. Just dummies, but
Uh-huh.
it'll be you can
And then
you
the
can
next
AR
year,
you can
the
AR
purge.
goggle it with the face of the person you want it to be.
Sure.
Yeah, that's what's coming up next.
Media Corner.
Did you finish Parks and Rec yet?
I have not finished Parks and Rec yet.
Okay,
Getting
You're still
close.
6?
Huh? Still, yeah. I'm right at the end of season 6.
Right at the end of season.
Right at the end of season 6. Watched Making It over the weekend.
fun.
Great show.
Isn't it?
Lots of fun.
Yeah. There's some really talented people too. I'm looking at some like, damn, that's good. It's legit good.
Yep.
I've only watched 2. How many have you watched?
Well, just 2. There was all that was 2.
So the one guy that got eliminated on the second one, I felt so bad for because it was just like he got eliminated just because he had to start over. I'm like, he's really good. His stuff is good.
Yes, that was what we all decided the same thing too. Is like he was amazingly talented.
I really thought they were going to get rid of
had a bad day.
I thought they were going to get rid of the kid that did the bridge.
Yeah,
What was the other? What was the last
exactly
thing?
what we thought too.
Yeah, what was the last thing he did? The kids thing, the spaceship. It didn't even work right, like you said. His didn't turn out as they said either.
Right.
I'm like, I thought for sure it would be him.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, he just had a bad day, and
He did. He was good.
and that was the end of it, though.
Yeah, but it's just so it's encouraging. They even keep the people on for a little bit of the after show, not the after show, but
Yeah, where they
follow up.
had some wine with them, and
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's really sweet. They make sure that it feels no one's mad or hurt. It's
right. Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
and the little badges they get. I'm like, oh, those are nice little badges.
Yeah, those
They
are
went all
nice
out.
badges. I like them. I like them a lot.
Told you,
Those are
there's some little Boy Scout stuff going on there.
Yeah.
You earn a
well,
badge.
and then I started thinking of like, wow, man, how do they make those? Because
probably go to a
I've
Stitch
designed
place.
patches and stuff.
Yeah, there's Stitch places. It's all digital at this point.
Well, yeah,
isn't it?
I know, but then I was like going, God,
detail's hard though.
really,
Fine.
yeah, it's really expensive to make one patch. So then I got to thinking, there's got to be some sort of a machine that you could just buy and hook it up to your computer. That's
I'm
not
sure
like an
it's
industrial
not cheap,
thing.
but yes, it
yeah, no,
definitely
I'm sure
is.
it's not cheap, but I'm sure something exists.
No, I know there is. I remember the church we used to go to, they owned an embroidery shop, and it was all computer driven.
Well, then there you go.
So basically, you'd give them EPS files, and they would separate colors out to thread, match as closely as they could, because colors were
Right.
finite as opposed to like Pantone colors.
Yeah.
And then they would always give feedback in terms of like, this is too thin. We probably can't really achieve this the way you want, or things like that. But yeah, it was all, they would, color separate. That's how they would, how they knew what threads to put on. Like it was all computer done. I'm sure it's just hella expensive.
Oh, I'm sure. It is probably not this $319 one I'm looking at right here on Amazon.
Given 3D printers have gone down tremendously, but
Yeah.
But also 3D printers aren't what professionals are using for modeling.
No.
Not those kind.
No. So about a year ago, we got to where we started watching a lot of MASH.
Really?
My 10-year-old got really deep into MASH. Really, really deep into MASH. Yes,
Wow.
and I mean, we got to where we watched pretty much every single episode and saw them all, and so we have been trying to just figure out something else to watch because we've seen all the MASH, and so Robin pulled out the Brady Bunch. And she and Nathan have been watching Brady Bunch reruns on Hulu.
Oh, boy.
And boy, I tell you what, that's a blast from the past, man.
And
Yeah, I don't
holds
know.
up.
I mean,
It gets pretty cheesy.
yeah, it gets pretty cheesy, but I mean, it's like first season stuff, and so I feel like it actually the episodes were a little bit better in the first season because they didn't quite crank up the there's a lesson to be learned every single week type of deal.
Right.
It was pretty good. It was pretty
They
good.
go to Kings Island, which is just 2 miles
Yeah,
away from
yeah.
where I live.
Yeah.
Like if they do any panning shots, I'm like, I'm just right over there. I mean, I'm not. When it's shot, I mean,
Not in it. Yeah.
no, but
Yeah.
in a
No, we watched one. We watched one last night that was actually really good. About they went on a camping trip, and it made me, and it was the whole girls shouldn't go camping. They can't do things, and I was like, wow, this feels oddly like my life right now. But yeah, it's good. It's
you
fun
should
to
watch
watch
Gilligan's
those.
Island. That's a
Ooh, yes.
classic that I used to watch.
That's a classic, and I'm sure that it's probably far more problematic than the Brady Bunch. Is.
Oh, yeah, the natives. Oh,
They
were definitely more problematic.
Yeah,
I haven't watched any of those probably since I was a kid. Like I haven't watched MASH since my dad would watch it, and I would see the beginning of it and have to go to bed usually. And then Brady Bunch was always a rerun after school, along with like Addams Family, or that's actually another good one. Probably not problematic.
ooh, yeah, no, probably not.
Or Munsters. Munsters, Addams Family. They run the same spectrum. I think Munsters is a little more goofy. Addams Family is a little more dark,
yeah,
if I remember right. Green Acres, meh. Never
Yeah.
cared about that.
Yeah.
F Troop, meh. Those are all like, it's crazy to think that as kids, that all these super old 60s shows, super old, 20 years old. Right. They were 20 years old when we watched them, but that felt super old to us.
right.
What's a 20-year-old show now? From this time, 20 years would have been 1998.
Yeah, yeah. So that'd be
That's the
shit. I don't
equivalent.
even know what was on TV then. Batman
Fresh
the
Prince of
animated
Bel-Air?
series. Yeah. Yes. No, that was even older than that.
Yeah, probably. That's
think-
how crazy.
yeah, I think
that's
that
how
was already
crazy
over.
the thought is. Like, we were watching these old black and white shows, thinking they were ancient, and I'm like, oh my god, they weren't really all that
Yeah.
old.
Yeah. Yep. Speaking of problematic things, have you seen anything about Erica Hall's new podcast?
No.
So she has got a new podcast called Surprisingly Problematic, and they're going through and watching old 80s movies.
Uh-huh.
And so the first episode is about Pretty in Pink. Ooh. And I haven't listened to it yet. I've got it queued up, but yeah, surprisingly problematic.
Revenge of the Nerds.
Oh yeah, that's a yes.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. I think someone on Facebook posted something like, what are some movies that you loved as a kid that are completely problematic to watch? Like in terms of like, ooh, that's just really not right. Like, I had a hard time thinking of anything.
Oh,
Because Spielberg is always pretty, those are like always my favorite movies as kids, was mostly Lucas and Spielberg movies, and they weren't ever really problematic.
No, not to the degree that,
like Goonies isn't really problematic per se. Not really.
Yeah, not hugely. I mean, it's got, it's got some stereotypes and things in there that kind of, that don't age well, but it's John Hughes movies tend to be probably a little more,
like Breakfast Club.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, Breakfast Club definitely has some problems there.
Well, I was even just watching. I don't know why, but Amazon just has the extended, like, super long cut of The Watchmen.
Yeah,
and I know it's based on the comic books, but what's like problematic about the comic books was like, Ozymandias or whatever his name is. Like, the problem with him was that he was potentially gay. That, like, they brought that up in the movie, like, well, he's gay or probably gay, so we got to look into that. Like, that's a thing for him to not be trustworthy. I'm like, wasn't that long ago, and that's real problematic.
Yeah. Huh? Okay.
Yeah. I mean, there's things that are problematic because the people that are in them and what we know about them now, a.k.a. Bill Cosby.
Yeah.
Roseanne.
Yep.
She's just crazy. She was always crazy. She was never not crazy. She sang the national anthem like an insane person. Like, she knew she couldn't sing, and yet she agreed to do the national anthem.
Yeah.
That's tells you everything you need to know. Anyway, I can't think of any movies offhand.
Oh, they're out there.
Like, literally, I can't think of a movie.
Really?
Jaws, because there's a stuffed animal shark that's I'm looking at right now. Did you ever see Ready Player One?
Nope, never. I didn't really have a huge interest in watching it.
Yeah, don't. I mean, I know people liked it. I was really... I'm like, it was fine. Movie. I read the book even, and people praised the book like, oh, it's the best. I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
I
It's
never
nothing
even,
but nostalgia.
I bought the book and I've never read it.
I mean, if you love nostalgia, that's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was average at best.
Okay then.
Yeah. Don't at me on that. Ready Player One is average at best. I hear so many people like, it's my favorite book of all time. Like, well, you need to read some more books. What other books have you read? Harry Potter. Okay, well, we're getting some. If you read anything like, say, Fahrenheit 451, or maybe I can't think of any, but Flowers of Algernon, any books like that? Slaughterhouse 5? No. Yeah, well, let's tone it down on the best book you've ever read then. Eat my butt. Then I slap them and I run away.
kids these days.
So here's an interesting thing. I have not been taking medication for... So I have diagnosed ADD, not ADHD, ADD. And I have been taking medication for years. And a couple months ago, I ran out and just didn't bother getting any.
Yeah.
I left one pill, though. One pill.
Okay.
And stopped.
Okay.
I'm like, I want to get it out of my system for a couple months.
Mm-hmm.
Took one today.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't honestly know what it is that's different.
Yeah. But you feel something?
I don't feel tired. I don't feel
Sure.
wired. I don't feel wired.
Uh-huh.
But I don't feel tired either.
Hmm.
I don't feel as all over the place, obviously. Like my brain doesn't quite dart around as much.
Yeah. Interesting.
But it didn't do anything for, like, I still have a lot of self-doubt, a lot of anxiety.
Right.
That's still there.
Yeah.
And, like, my doctor has always said, like, well, I can't give you anything for anxiety that isn't in replace of giving you something for ADD medicine because they do not go together well. So, like, my choice is either find something that deals with my anxiety, but not my ADD, or have something that deals with my ADD. So that's kind of where I am right now. I'm like, I went for months. I felt fine. Maybe a little in my head, a little frazzled, like all over the place. But my anxiety isn't going, like, it plagues me. Is it better to deal with that? Still don't know yet, but
yeah, I
that's what's in my head.
Well, you know, and it's very interesting because I had something rather similar happen over the summer, but not that I left one and said, okay, I'm gonna, you know, I ran out, you know, never went and got a refill, but found one of my anxiety pills.
Mm-hmm.
And not, you know, not Klonopin or Xanax, you know, not like a sedative type of thing, but just my day-to-day anxiety pills. Right.
Uh-huh.
And so I took that and I did
aren't a lot of the anxiety medications
really up, you know, and kind of like what I felt like whenever I used to take stuff for ADD.
Okay.
And so I'm wondering, and now I'm looking here.
I know
there is-
Wellbutrin is a kind of crossover, like it's treated for ADD and anxiety, depression.
Yeah. This was Cymbalta.
Cymbalta, right.
And there are some and I'm doing a little Googling, and it seems like there are some correlations, and you could, you know, possibly use that as an off-label for ADD as well.
I take Concerta.
Yeah.
Which
this one is from the National Institutes of Health.
Huh.
Duloxetine may improve some symptoms of attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Huh.
So there you go. Because I mean, it definitely did feel like a, you know, like, wow, all of a sudden I am way more alert and present here at the
mellowed
moment.
and alert.
You know, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if one can be that mellowed and alert, you know, it was kind of like a confident, energized, boom, here I am.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting, and it was a very noticeable effect. And so, yeah.
I mean, preferably I want the side effects of appetite suppression so I can get rid of this growing sack of wet flour that's growing around my belly. But I'll talk to my doctor, be like, hey, I want to. He's going to be like, you shouldn't do that, obviously, but
Right.
it's not like going off of, you know, depression medication. I don't
No,
quite
that's a
the-
way different thing than that.
Correct.
Sure, yeah.
But I'm sure
I mean,
doctors hate it when we do this kind of shit. Like,
experimenting on yourself.
Yeah, they're like,
Yeah.
why would you do that? Because I just wanted
This
to
is what
remember.
what happened.
I wanted to get it fully out of my system, fully away, and jump back in and see. I probably should have more than one pill because it probably needs to build up for a little bit. But
Yeah,
There is
you know,
that,
and I mean, and
compounding
most
effect.
of that type, and most of that type does have that loading that it needs to do. I do remember years ago when I took Effexor, there was one time, and I had been taking it for about 8 years, and I was like, you know what, maybe I don't need this anymore. Who knows? I don't know. I've been taking it for 8 years, and so I did the same thing. But I did it the way that you're supposed to do it. So if you're going to get off of those, you start tapering it off, and so you start taking one every other day, and then you start taking a half every other day, and then and all that stuff. And I got it off, and about a week later, I just felt awful, like the worst that I had felt way before I had even started taking the medication or anything like that. And I was like,
that's quite the
and I was like,
chemical imbalance there.
oh, I cannot get off this. Time to start back up. And
Wow.
it was bad.
You still
it was
take
terrible.
that, or you got yourself off of it, or switched to something else?
I switched to something else, but I mean, but I haven't been on that for months, and it was just something about it had just been in my system for so long. I now feel like that because I have did not find that same problem whenever I stopped taking Cymbalta and all that stuff. I mean, it just and. Yeah, it was just one of those things. So that can be a fun thing to deal with.
Yeah, it's human. You're always like, I don't probably need the medication, right? I can see how it goes.
Well,
I mean, the thing is, I never heard anything from my wife. What?
I said I think it's healthy to honestly try to figure out every once in a while if maybe you don't need that.
Or maybe the dosage isn't enough.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
always going to happen where you have to mess with the milligrams because your body does develop a little bit of an immunity. That's probably not the right word, but the effectiveness of the chemicals that are balancing out probably do their job, but you might realize you need a little bit more just to keep a stasis, if you will. But yeah, we'll see. My wife, it's not like my wife has said anything like you need to go on medication. Like none of that's ever happened. So mostly,
that's good.
I don't feel fatigued, which I do when I don't take it. Like I'm always just tired by 3:00.
Yeah,
just like I could go take a nap right now.
Yep.
Whereas I feel fine even at 11 right now. I'm not like I gotta crawl into bed. I'm so tired.
Yeah.
So there's that. I think part of my worry was also this is probably a lot of people in our field. Always in the back of my head is like, am I less creative? Are less ideas getting through? Am I not taking as many chances? Am I being too much in my head? Stuff like that or always crawl up in there. And I don't really notice that there was any major difference either way.
No, I didn't either, but that was definitely something that I thought of when I decided to get on Effexor, and that was... when did I do that? That was about 15 years ago. And and sure, I worried about that, but it didn't do anything like that. And I mean, it's,
if anything, it helps you focus on an idea quite a bit more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll probably gonna go back to the doctor and have a little talk about either upping the dosage or trying something a little different.
Yeah, I'm looking quite forward to going to the in-office health clinic and getting all that crap back.
The worst thing about the ADD stuff is you have to go to the doctor all the time.
Yeah,
you get 3 refills and then you have to go back.
Yep.
And do another visit and a checkup because it's such a controlled substance. They're always
I
can't just
had
get
to
endless refills.
No, I had to. I wouldn't even get 3. Like, I would go to the doctor. They would do a follow up, but then I had to go every month and get the prescription that was in a sealed envelope. and take it and take
I have to get it from the
you know,
doctor's office. I have to go to the doctor to get the prescription. They don't call
but they wouldn't do like they wouldn't do a 3-month supply, or they wouldn't do here are 3 prescriptions.
Yeah, I get 3 prescriptions before I have to go to the doctor again, but I have to go to the office.
Yeah, that's exactly
for the prescription. I don't have to see the doctor to get the prescription for 3 times. It's just after the 3rd one, I have to go to the office and see the doctor for a full checkup. Or a pseudo checkup.
Okay.
But then I get 3 where I have to continually for each one go back to the doctor's office to get the prescription thing. And it just gets tiring. I'm like, do I really look like I'm going to start selling it on the street? I get it. They have to do it. It's long. All that blah, blah, blah. It's just tiring. It's kind of like, I don't want to keep going to the doctor, finding goddamn time all the time. Like, what about this time? No, I can't do that. What about this? Like, I can't even plan 2 weeks in advance. You're trying to ask me for months. I don't know.
I
don't know when I'll be available. Sure, let's just put that down. So I'll be completely surprised the day before and be like, oh shit, I got to go to the doctor.
Yes, and let's not forget the reason why you're going to the doctor in the first place is because you can't remember to do shit anyway because your brain is all fragmented.
Well, so here's my second problem diagnosis that I have no cure for, which is I have short-term memory problems. I got diagnosed with those in college. When I also got diagnosed with ADD in college. Like all through high school, elementary school and high school, I was not diagnosed. All I knew is that I could never remember homework assignments or tests, and every day I went to school was a nightmare of what did I forget? Because that's all it ever was. And my teachers would be like, did you write it down? I'm like, I did write it down, but I forgot to look at it. Like, well, why don't you look at it every day? I'm like, I look at it some days, but then something will happen and I completely go out of my mind and I will never remember it again. But I just dealt with it. And then it was in college where I'm just like, there is something, like, I cannot keep this up. Like, there's just too much stuff and I can't fake my way, guess my way through tests anymore because college is just so much harder. So my mom's like, okay, well, send me to a specialist, like an education specialist or whatever.
Yeah.
Went through 3 days or something of tests, and it was like, you have ADD and you also have a short-term memory problem. Like, I cannot retain information in the short term. Doesn't happen. If you give me 3 things and then add 1 more, I will forget most of it. It will be gone. So, like, I have to write stuff down all the time, or I have to repeat what people say to me to try to create a memory channel. And in high school, I always would draw, which was creating a alternate path of memory. Rather than just hearing it, I would hear it, I would write, and I would draw. Because he was like, the visual connection to what you're hearing helps your brain kind of fire a lot more than just hearing and processing. Because, like, I would hear the ADD would make me space out. Or if I tried to super pay attention, and once I heard too much information, it would go, the brain would not be able to put it into any kind of storage. It would just kind of fall away. So, like, it's a horrible coupling of issues.
That's a 1-2 punch, man.
So that's when I like take Ritalin. I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I can actually sit in class and hear all of it, and all of a sudden the class is over, and I'm like, I heard all of that. And I wrote notes, and I didn't space out. Like, it was amazing. But when I'm interacting with people, and it's like my wife would always be like, here's the things you need to get this. They start listing off stuff. I'm like, don't list it off. Write it down. If I don't have a list, I'm not going to remember it. It doesn't matter. Like, so memory games, I'm done. I'm done for. You know, like this. Like, here's a list of 7 numbers. And remember them. And then here's a list of 5 objects. Remember those. Like, I'm out by 3. Like, trying to remember 3 things. It's It sucks. Like, I would have people that I would tell that to, and they would go over and beyond. That almost made me feel like a complete idiot.
Yeah.
Like, well, I'm not going to tell you anything because you're not going to remember. So like this, like I'm like, it's not that. It's not that I'm not going to remember anything. I'm not Mr. Short-Term Memory from an SNL skit. You know, Tom Hanks's character, like, who put this food in my mouth? Why am I chewing food?
Right.
Like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Like that, but that's how they started. Like, I told my old coworker about it, and he would just keep things from me. He's like, you're just never going to remember. So I'm just not even going to bother telling you about stuff, which clearly was an excuse. But like, some people just use it as like a battering ram of like, you're an idiot. I don't trust you.
Yeah.
Like, it's not about that. It's just I can't retain information well sometimes. Like, you'll tell me something and you're like, 2 minutes later, hey, what about this thing? I'm like, oh, right. I totally forgot about that. Like, that happened to me all the time. Like, my wife would be like, hey, I made apple pie. I'm like, awesome. 2 minutes later, she'll tell me, like, do you want apple pie? I'm like, oh, right. You made apple pie. I'm so excited. Like, it'll just like come back again. So there's a little bit of the Mr. Short-Term Memory stuff that's pretty great, but it's not so bad that I'm like, why am I talking into a microphone? Where am I? How did I get in the basement? Like, come on. So yeah, it's a double whammy of like, I've tons of coping mechanisms for that, but
Sure.
couple that with spacing out and not remembering. It is not a fun combo.
No, I can't
So
imagine
I will get a lot of feedback from coworkers and or bosses of, you interrupt a lot, or you speak more than you should. I'm like, I understand. I interrupt because if I my ingrown habit is that if I don't say it, I will never remember it. It'll go away forever. Even like the best practice is to write stuff down. But when I don't have anything to write down, if I don't so either I'm in my head repeating what I want to say constantly so that it won't go away and I'm not listening to the other person.
Yeah.
Or I'm listening to the other person and the idea or thought that I had is gone unless I can write it down. And then if I'm writing it down, some people take that as being rude. Or it's listening. You're not making eye contact with me. I'm like, I'm sorry. I have to write down my thought right now or I won't.
Yeah.
I won't have it. So it can be trying. And I know
that can be tough.
I know, like, I can be annoying to people because I will interrupt them. I'm like, I'm sorry. I know I feel like I'm interrupting, but I don't have anything to write down. And I'm afraid, it's usually anxiety, not typically real. Like, I'm afraid that the thought in my head will go away and I won't be able to get back to it. And like my super fear is that in 20 years that will become forgetting how to get home or forget what I did for a whole day kind of stuff. Like, that is the uber fear.
Yeah.
Short-term memory turns into major gaps of memory, which
I have a huge fear of that.
Well, I have a fear of it because that's what my mom has.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't know who I am anymore.
Yeah.
How can I not think that's what's going to happen to me?
Right. Same thing happened to my grandma. And so, I mean, that worries me a lot.
It worries the fuck out of me. Because I had this is probably 15, 20 years ago. I had a very lucid, very real dream where I was in this hallway in a wheelchair, like just a long hallway, overhead lights, outside of a door in a wheelchair. And this woman got into my face and was talking very baby talk, very slow to me. Mr. Armstrong, would you like some water? And all I remember saying in my head was like, of course I want water. But what came out was literally nothing. Just like mumbles and moans, like the kind of like entrapped in your own brain kind of thing. And like, I realized, I'm old and I have cognitive issues and I am in an old folks home in a wheelchair and I'm just in a hallway parked being neglected. Like that dream stuck with me so strongly because I'm like, that seems possible.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, what can I do to make that not happen? And everything you're always really like, well, there's not much you can do. Fuck off. Great. Although there was something out this week on some things that doctors know that kind of can help curb early onset dementia or any kind of dementia, like problems, diet, exercise, sleep. Sleep is a big one, which is, I'm glad, because like I always make sure I get at least 8 hours of sleep.
Yeah,
when I can. What was the other one? Puzzles. Whether it's a crossword puzzle or a jigsaw puzzle or game, like anything that's brain stimulating, anxiety, not kind of an anxiety kind of a game, but one that's where it's like solve this problem or look for these kind of clues. Like everything that's always engaging. Reading, that was the other one. Like reading is always very important. But like stuff that I'm doing that I feel pretty good about. Exercise, I'm not really. That's my it obviously it bothers my aunt too, and she plays more Words with Friends than anybody that I possibly know, and but she does it exactly. I mean, for that, it's that that fear of what's going to happen to me is what happened to my mom, and so I'm doing everything that I can to keep myself sharp, and so I get it. Yeah, I do New York Times crossword puzzle every day.
Yeah,
the mini and the big. Although that's been recent. I've been doing that. I didn't realize it gets harder throughout the week.
Yeah, I didn't realize that until they talked about Monday. That on Omnibus last week or the week before.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know where I heard that. I heard it somewhere too, but it wasn't that podcast. I don't listen to that. But yeah, like it gets real hard on like Friday. Like Monday, I'm like, I got this. And like Tuesday, I'm like, oh, this isn't that bad. Wednesday, I'm like, I'm a little stuck on what this means.
Wednesday's where it starts getting a little tough.
And then Thursday, I'm like, I don't know what any of these words even mean. I don't even know what you're trying to say. If there's a theme, I'm not getting it. But yeah, stuff like that is very helpful for. And I remember, like, all the doctors always tell us, like, well, she doesn't really know that she's forgetting stuff. She's happy. She's just happy to see people. She's just happy to have company and all that. And like, yeah, I get it. Like, she doesn't know what she doesn't know anymore. She doesn't know what she's forgetting, which is a kind of a mind fuck when you think about that. You don't know what you're forgetting. Like, well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, right. Like that. That's a spiral that can send you for quite a while.
Oh yeah.
What am I not knowing that I forgot?
Oh, great. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Fun. But at the same time, it's because it's the most suffering to the people who are watching it happen. I mean, there can be frustrating times. Like, she'll know that someone's giving her instructions to do something, but she doesn't know how to execute.
Yeah.
Like, it's to your left. She doesn't know what left is anymore. Something like that. You know? So that kind of stuff is like, so then you just don't ask it that way. You're like, it's right over here. Let me put your hand on it. That's not frustrating. So like, there's ways you can help someone not feel frustrated and angry about what they're going through is by, well, if they can't understand this instruction, do it a different way. It's also a good lesson in UX.
Yep.
So yeah,
that's true.
Well, was a fun journey onto anxiety, ADD. We're all gonna forget who the hell we are. Yep. I mean, like, I'm sure you're in the back of your mind too. Is like, come on, science. You gotta get close.
Oh man! Every time I see any sort of article that even hints at we've made some great inroads into Alzheimer's and dementia, and I'm like, yes, come on.
CRISPR is going to be the answer to all of it. It just won't help us. It'll help our. Well, it won't help our kids either because we already had them. But our kids could get CRISPR stuff and kill out those genes that pass on. I don't even know if it's hereditary. Is it hereditary?
I don't think
they
don't 100% know.
Yeah, that's also not comforting. I mean, not that knowing that it's hereditary would be comforting either.
Right.
But not...
Yeah.
It's hard to say if knowing something or not knowing something is better. Like the 23andMe stuff. Like, they can send you, like...
I have seriously mixed feelings about those.
So do I. Like, I don't mind knowing where I might come from, but I don't know that I want to know what possible medical problems I might have. One, they might be accurate, but they also might not be.
Yep.
And do I live my life differently knowing that you have a 48% chance of having dementia?
Yeah.
What am I going to be able to do about that except worry about it every day? Worry about when it's going to happen. When I'm going to start seeing it happen.
Yeah, and every time you forget something, is this it? Is this where it starts?
Yep. Every goddamn time I forget something, I'm like, this is just the start, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or cancer is also that kind of thing too. You're like, you wake up and you feel sick. Like, am I sick? Or
that's the thing that I would be most worried about on.
Well,
on
everybody gets that. Everybody's going to get cancer.
Yeah. But, that doesn't really run in my family, but it's got, it's always going to start somewhere. So.
Yeah, that runs in our family, but not for men. It's
right.
Like breast cancer runs through the family, which oddly enough, my sister will not get any kind of exams or anything. Her reaction to it is like, I'd rather not know. I'm like, wow, breast cancer is very treatable though. Very. But yeah. Ignorance is bliss. It's not a saying for no reason.
That's right.
Knowing things can make life torturous. That's why I would probably never do a 23andMe thing. I'm like, I don't know that I want to. Like, what's the horrible? It's like ALS and another disease combined. Huntington's.
I don't know that I know anything about
Huntington's
this.
disease is awful. It will kill you. It will deprive you of all your motor functions. And I think it also deprives you of cognitive stuff too. I don't remember what it is. It's just terrible.
Ooh. Yeah. Progressive breakdown of nerve cells in the brain.
Yeah.
So
which means that you're not able to function or think.
Right.
It's horrifying.
Oh my God.
And they can detect that. I would never want to know.
No, I wouldn't want to know that for sure.
But that's
for sure.
It's detectable by these 23andMe tests. No, it's not really a moral dilemma. It's a personal dilemma.
Yeah, no, it's not a moral dilemma at all. That's just something that I just personally don't want to know.
But I guess if does it become moral in the fact that are you preparing your life of those around you for when you're not going to be there? Does that make it a moral quandary? Do you have?
I don't know that helps or hurts.
I don't know. Maybe you save a lot more in terms of like, hey, I don't know when I will be gone, so let's save up. Or
I mean, it could help you do that. Sure.
Does it affect your spouse? Are they going to be like would they pull away from you? Would they pull closer to you? It's
a roll of the dice. You could never know really about anything.
Yes, what you just said of anything. Even knowing doesn't mean you know.
No.
Like I had a fun debate with, like I just told my wife that, the stupid, like if a tree falls in the woods and no one's around, does it make a sound? She's like, that's stupid. Of course it does. I'm like, no, it's not stupid. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, if no one is there to know that it made a sound, no one can definitively prove that it did. She's like, but it would. I'm like, you don't know that. You can hypothesize with pretty good certainty that it would, but you don't have the knowledge of being there to witness it doing it, because then you would be there and witness it doing it. It's saying that if you aren't there, how do you know? She's like, well, I guess I wouldn't. I'm like, correct. That is all of everything. You can't definitively know anything that hasn't happened. You can make really good guesses about it, but you can't literally know.
Yeah.
So even if a test comes back and says you have Huntington's, it doesn't mean that you might or will potentially have.
Right.
It doesn't mean it will happen. Doesn't mean it won't happen. It doesn't mean that you won't get it if it says that you couldn't, that you won't get it. I mean,
yeah.
Which makes which makes anxiety a kind of a stupid thing. Like you're literally worried about something you can't know or control.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes you more anxious.
Yeah.
Just like, well, I wish I did because then I would do something. And then we just drink and we fart and we watch dumb shows that take our mind off of bullshit.
Yeah. Oh, man.
This is why when I get older, I'm taking every drug. All of them.
Sure. Just
LSD, do some mushrooms, maybe some heroin. Just who the fuck cares? I just want to be in a blissful unawareness and just fade off into a big smile.
Might as well.
Why not?
Might as well.
What are they going to do? Arrest me? Like 75? Like, ugh. Come on. Mushrooms. I'm sitting in the desert talking to a coyote. Come on.
You have questions or topics for the show? Call 816-535-1094 and leave a voicemail. Or reach us on Twitter at Uncle Weepy. If you enjoyed this show, first rate and review the show on iTunes, Google Play, or wherever you get your podcasts. Your review helps the podcast robot suggest this show to other listeners. Second, consider supporting the show on Patreon. Patrons of the show get access to exclusive after-show material. Several levels of support are available. Visit patreon.com/Uncle Weepy for details.